Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, in the last session, we have seen that how signal propagation is different in wireless communication. That is yesterday only. That is compared to wired communication. This is because we know that there is no physical medium in the wireless communication, and next to that, so in this particular session we will see the additional effects on the signal propagation in wireless communication. Then we also going to see different multiplexing techniques that are used in the wireless communication, and if time permits we will see the technology, or will get introduced to the technology called spade spectrum. So three topics we are going to cover today, that effects of signal propagation, multiplexing, and start of spade spectrum. Okay, which is used in mobile communication. Okay, we'll start with that. Okay, so let's begin with the effects of signal propagation. So if you consider, there is no obstacle or obstruction in between the sender and receiver. That is a consideration. In that case, then the signal travels the path of line of sight, that we know, just like a light between the sender and the receiver. So even then, it still experiences the free space loss. And as we know, the primary reason of signal degradation is because of distance between the sender and the receiver. Okay, so apart from the distance, there are several other factors which can affect the received signal strength, or power, you can say, of received signal. So वो क्या क्या है, let's see them one by one. Okay, so the first factor that affects the received signal strength is fading. Okay, so fading is nothing but the variation in the attenuation of a signal, that may be due to a time, due to frequency, or several other parameters. Basically, primarily in wireless communication, fading occurs because of frequency. So it is called as frequency selective fading. Okay, so we will see about frequency selective fading in the detail in this particular lecture. So then, as you can see at the bottom of this particular screen, that is your ppt.
सर आपका शेयर स्क्रीन नहीं दिख रहा है।
स्क्रीन नहीं दिख रहा है, शेड
हाँ सर,
पीपीटी नहीं दिख रहा है।
नहीं दिख रहा है सर।
एक मिनट, अभी दिख रहा है? Now can you able to see the screen?
हाँ यस सर, यस सर।
Yes.
Okay, okay. So we'll see this particular thing. If you see on the screen that in the particular PPT at the bottom of the screen, there are several diagrams that depicting different phenomena which affects the received signal strength. Okay, so first one of them is shadowing. Here you can see my pen marking is visible now, no?
यस सर।
Okay,
Yes.
so that is the first one, that is known as shadowing. So in the cities, there are tall buildings, we know. So rarely we receive a signal directly from the sender, that is our tower or the antenna from where we are getting the signal. So let's consider this particular first diagram, that is of shadowing, where if you are standing near the wall, means suppose if you are standing here just adjacent to wall, okay, then you will not receive the signal at all, because when the signal incident on the wall, here you can see, when the signal incident on the wall, it gets reflected and travels a different path, in which we are not standing and we are not getting the signal properly. Okay, so you are standing in the shadowed region, we can call it as a shadowed region, where the signal can't reach. Okay, so you will not able to receive a signal with a full strength, you can say, or you may not receive a signal at all. Both possibilities are there. So that is another additional effect on this particular signal propagation. Okay, then second one is reflection. You can see the second diagram too, that is of reflection. Okay, so reflection is well known concept, you know, when the signal impacts on the large bodies such as tall buildings or trees or something like that. So the amount of power that is reflected from such obstacles is less than amount of power that incident on the obstacle. So for example, in the particular diagram that is shown with the green pin, okay, if you see that there is incident ray or incident signal, here you can see incident signal is there, and reflection also you can see. So if the particular incident signal has a power p, suppose, then the reflected power p1, suppose reflected power p1 will be always less than the original power p. Okay, because some of the power incident on the wall of the building will be absorbed by the building or the particular obstacle which is there, which is reflecting that particular ray. Okay, and the remaining power will be reflected back to the medium, that you always remember. So once that you remember, so a receiver will not receive entire power that was being transmitted. So that is another degradation in the received signal caused by the reflection phenomenon. Okay, then third one comes, that concept is known as refraction. You can see here the third diagram, that is of refraction. So there are certain material, we can say, which do not reflect the signal incident on them. Okay, so some of them allows the signal to go through them, and but the signal that that is incident on that particular object are not follow the same path after that, once it incident on that particular object. So when they enter the medium, like shown here, you can see when the, this is the incident signal or incident ray, we can say, that incident on a particular medium, it is not continuing its path, it just change its path, or we can say the path is change of that particular signal afterwards, and that may be due to the particular refraction. Okay, after that the fourth one, that is scattering. So you can see the scattering example here, you can easily able to see the scattering also. So before scattering, I want to tell you about the refraction. That is, the path of propagation is changed after refraction because some of its power is absorbed by the medium, and remaining power is allowed to go through the medium. So now this is called refraction. So this refraction is dependent on density of that particular medium. Okay, the denser, as much more the particular medium denser, the more is the refraction. Okay, and because of this, signal power is lost during the medium, and when it is comes out of denser medium, again it goes into the free space, so it has much lesser power compared to the original power which was there at the time of incident on that particular object. So that is called as a refraction, which causes basically the signal degradation. The next factor is affecting the that affects the signal reception is known as scattering. Okay, you can see the fourth diagram here, this one. There are many obstacles present in the medium, like a small lamp post or signals or boards which are available present on the road. So when transmitter signal or transmitter transmit the signal, okay, and that signal basically hits these small obstacles, then as you can see in the diagram, the one signal is dispersed or distributed. You can see here that this is the single signal which is distributed into several signals due to scattering on a object. Each one is having smaller power, that means its power get divided. So in short, the power of incident signal is distributed into multiple signals with the smaller powers. So this distribution of power may not be equal. It will vary. So now we don't know which one of these smaller signal will we are going to receive, okay, at the end. So original power may be, suppose, the power for this is suppose pt. Then this particular three signals which are divided then will have the power like p1, p2 and p3, suppose. Okay, so that particular p1, p2, p3 will be the smaller signal, will have the powers as p1, p2, p3, and the original p is having the pt, sorry, will which is the original power signal. So this p1, p2 and p3 will always have the lesser power compared to the original signal pt. So this is called as a scattering. Then the last concept that we are going to see here with the diagram is called diffraction. Here you can see. So because of the presence of mountains, hills, wherever there are sharp objects or sharp edges at the top of the mountains, so at that time when signal incident on such sharp edges, they get diffracted. That is as shown in the particular diagram. You can see this is the original signal. Here you can see which is diffracted, and you can see in the diagram. So here you can see the incident signal, which one is this, that hits the top of the mountain, and because of that it changes its path. Not only it changes its path, but also it lost some of the energy of the incident signal which is absorbed by particular, means this mountain which is available here, and the remaining energy is traveling again in the free space. Okay, so along with the different path, or definitely it will going to change its path. So this is the another reason why signal propagation in the wireless media is get affected, and received signal is not same as the transmitted signal. Okay, so if we combine all these effects, like fading, that is distance fading, shadowing, reflection, refraction, scattering and diffraction, then receive power will be much shorter or much smaller compared to the transmitted power because of all those things, and that gives the rise to the better receivers compared to the wire communication receiver. Okay, and apart from that, all these concepts we are talking about the single path propagation. Now what we you are going to see on the slides. So now we are going to see the other part of it, that is what happened when our signals are not going to or not received via a single path in wireless communication. Okay, and that's where the concept of multipath propagation arises. So you can will move further. Here you can see the multipath propagation, that is multiple paths is seen primarily due to reflection, scattering, and diffraction. Okay, so let's consider this particular diagram. You can able to see I'm talking about this diagram right now. Okay, just look into the diagram. So if you see at the sender means here this particular tower is the sender. I'll give it name as a S, and here the car or the man sitting inside the car will be the receiver. Okay, so sender there means there is one tower which is a sender and is sending, let's say, two symbols means here is the signal that the sender is receiving. So this is one particular symbol and this one is the other symbol. You can see there are two symbols are sent by the sender. First one is shown with the black color and second one is shown in the blue color here. Okay, so which is basically the second symbol is having smaller amplitude compared to the first one. Okay, now this signal has to be sent to the person sitting in the this particular car, which is a receiver. Okay, so now this person will receive a signal via three different paths. So this is the first path. You can see, no, sorry, this is the first path we are considering. Why, I will tell you. Then the second path and the third path. Okay, now the first one is a direct line of sight path. You can see the first one is the direct line of sight path. Why? Because that is direct from the sender. The second one is through this particular building, that is because of reflection. You can see the ray or a signal is incident on building and get reflected, and then the particular man sitting in the car can able to receive. And the third one, that is because of what? Scattering. Okay, so a person in the car that receives three types of signal, we can see. So one is the line of sight, then the second is due to reflection, and third one is due to scattering. So as you can see, the signal at the receiver has three versions. In the diagram, you can clearly see. Okay, if you closely see or if you closely see the first symbol, I'm talking about this particular code, and now you can see at the receiver. Now I'm talking about the receiver end. Now you can look into this particular diagram. Hmm. So obviously here the line of sight signal will have the much larger signal strength compared to the other because it did not experience any power loss due to the additional effect. So like scattering and or reflection. So it only gets affected because of the distance between the sender and the receiver. So small amount of power may get degraded, but the amount of it will be very small. So first symbol is okay. Here you can see I'm talking about this one. This one. Now you can see this. I'm talking about this first symbol that is clearly seen here. See the black first symbol signal at the receiver. Okay, so we have received the signal correctly, although it has the quite lesser power, but we have received it properly. Then because of the second signal, that is this is because of, here you can see this is because of reflection, and the third small black tower you can see here triangle, that is because of scattering. So we received two more signals along with this first signal, that is the original signal or the original symbol you can say. Each one has a smaller amplitude than the signal received from the line of sight. So as you can see, here is two more symbol you can clearly able to see. Okay, now at the center, if you see closely, there is a distance between first symbol and the second symbol. I am talking about this particular distance. Also here also you can see, if I consider this particular symbol and the second symbol, the distance is nothing but this. Okay, so there is a distance between first symbol and the second symbol. This phase is called as a guard space. This particular space is known as a guard space. This is to avoid the neighboring symbol interfering with each other, so the data should not be get mixed. That's why there is a guard space available. So now at the receiver, you can say when we receive a second symbol, if you closely see here, the first signal received because of the line of sight connection of the second symbol is coinciding with the third signal received of a first symbol. Again, I am repeating, just clearly see. The third signal received of a first symbol, third signal means this particular signal I'm talking. I'll choose the another pane. Okay, no, this is the same color. Okay, so now you can concentrate here. I'm making a circle. Okay, so this is the here the small triangle, black triangle. Okay, that is the third signal received of a first symbol with due to scattering, which is coinciding with the first signal received of a second signal, say second symbol. So here you can see with the blue line that with the line of sight, the first signal of second symbol is getting or coinciding with the first signal of first symbol, a third signal of a first symbol. Okay, so this has happened because of the multipath propagation. So multiple paths that are leading to the reception of different versions of signal, and then there are further two small signals of second symbol also. You can see the next small tower, that is triangle, blue triangle. Uske baad mein you can see one more small triangle, blue triangle, which is because of the reflection and the scattering. Okay, so now the area of discussion here is the coinciding of third version of a first symbol, okay, and first version of the second symbol. So this coinciding is known as a inter symbol interference. Okay, so interference with the neighboring symbol which is not desired, and for that reason we have included guard space. Because of multipath propagation, effect of guard space is nullified. So multipath propagation also leads to the bad reception of signals. Okay, so this is another effect that is usually seen in the wireless communication. In wired communication, we don't observe such interferences because we know no free air is there, no free space air is there. So through wires only signals are passing. Okay, and there is a dedicated medium between the sender and the receiver, but in the wireless we do have such kind of things, and that is the downside of the wireless communication. So now this is about effect of signal propagation. So now to avoid such kind of situation, we can use different multiple techniques, multiplexing techniques. So let's see them one by one. Okay, so before going to multiplexing technique, one more point is there, that is we will see that particular other effects which are seen in the wireless communication. Okay, so that is known as the effect of mobility. Okay, in wireless communication, or more specifically in the mobile communication, the users, that is sender and the receiver, both can be mobile, we know that, or one of them can be mobile. Okay, so now because of this mobility, signal path changes continuously. Okay, let's say there is a sender, suppose एक sender में लेता हूँ. ये sender है suppose. Okay, when it start communicating, let's say standing, वो यहाँ पे अभी खड़ा है, ऐसा मैं पकड़ के चलता हूँ, रिसीवर कहीं पे तो यहाँ पे खड़ा है. Okay, and the receiver is standing here, you can see. But as the conversation goes on, here I'll show you the conversation like this. As the conversation goes on, sender may move away from the original location. Now it's shifted to somewhere here, suppose. Previously he was here. Now the sender moves away because it is mobile in nature. So he moves away from the original location. So a receiver also may move from the original location. So the obstruction between these two, the sender and the receiver, will change continuously, that we know. And because of that, the signal path or signal paths gets changed. So the effect of parameters like scattering, reflection, or refraction, they will not be continuous, or they will not be predictable in the wireless communication. So you will see different delays for different signal paths. Okay, also different phases of different signal paths. So there can be a short changes in the power received, which is also known as a short term fading. Okay, so here you can see in the diagram, you can see the short term spreading is shown with the, this is known as a short term spreading, where there is a change in the signal or small change in the signal because of the particular location of the sender and the receiver. A particular frequency may get attenuated by the noise, and that is known as a short term fading. Okay, and that because after that attenuation, it again rise up and or rises back to the original signal. So it is known as a short term problem or short term fading. Okay, and apart from that, as if the sender and receiver keeps moving away from each other, ज़्यादा ही समझो दूर गए एक दूसरे से, the distance is continuously increasing and from each other. So then this particular attenuation in the signal will start to increase furthermore, and that's why you will see more fading as the time goes on, and this is called as a long-term fading. Here you can see that is the long-term fading. Means change in the signal is quite more, or the attenuation is more. So this long-term fading is observed at the slow rate compared to the short-term fading. So this is another factor which affects the communication in the wireless media. So in terms of sender and receiver, so you have seen the several factors affecting signal propagation. First one being the distance between the sender and receiver. Then second, we have seen the certain effects like shadowing, reflection, and scattering, and so on. So third one, that is being multipath propagation, and the fourth one, but not the last one. There may be some more also. Okay, so depending on the situation. So that fourth one may be the user mobility, that is sender and receiver mobility, we can say. So that is primarily seen in the mobile communication. Okay, so that is what the effect of mobility. So now let's move and we'll see the different multiplexing technique. Okay, one by one. Okay, so this particular concept is, I think you all known some of the multiplexing technique that you have already studied in the second year ECCF में हुआ रहेगा maybe. Let's recall them again. So we'll take a short discussion for this. Okay, the most popular that you know from the previous year study, you might have studied it. So is the time division multiplexing, frequency division multiplexing, you all know, and code division multiplexing. Okay, So one another concept that is added here is the space division multiplexing. So now we will see time, frequency, and the code division multiplexing again. But talking about the space division multiplexing, if you see the diagram here, the whole particular diagram, I'm talking about this diagram. Okay. So this particular diagram in the space division multiplexing, entire space, here you can see, entire space or geographical area is divided into smaller areas that is known as spaces. Let's see here S1, this one, S1, S2, and S3. Okay. And each space here or each area is allocated a certain number of frequency channels. Okay. So channels here means a range of frequencies are allocated to the particular area for particular user. Um, so you might have seen this particular concept or usually seen this particular concept in FM radio. So FM radio uses space division multiplexing, whereas same station can be used or same station frequency can be used in different cities. So for example, 93.5 FM, if you take that is a FM channel, so which transmit radio signal in Mumbai as well as Pune, Kolhapur, and many other regions. So, but here you can understand the contents of each transmission are different according to their city. So that is the part of your space division multiplexing. The goal of this particular multiplexing or using the multiplexing is that the use of shared medium for the multiple users, as we are having so many users nowadays, we know the number of users are increasing rapidly, so we have to share the medium, whereas or where or we also know that the physical medium or the wireless medium we need to share, and that shared medium is used by the several different users, and there are different ways in which that can be shared, and those ways are nothing but the multiplexing techniques. So now, irrespective of type of multiplexing, every multiplexing technique we know that required a guard space. So in case of time division multiplexing, guard space will be the terms in terms of time. So that means between two consecutive transmission, there will be some short period of time will be kept, and in that particular time there will be no transmission. Okay. So in the case of frequency also two consecutive channels, that we have some guard band that is known as a frequency band, that is between two frequencies to avoid the interference. In codes also, that is a code division multiplexing, two consecutive codes will have the orthogonal to each other. That means they will be completely different from each other, so that they cannot be predicted from one another. So also geographically, if you see, cities have to be further away from each other in order to repeat the same frequency. So that concept come in the GSM. We will see in GSM in detail how this code division multiple access or CDMA or how it works. Okay, so let's see the multiplexing technique one by one. Okay, so we'll see the first one, that is we'll start with the frequency division multiplexing. Okay, so it is nothing but the technique of dividing entire spectrum into small frequency band. As you can see in the diagram, now I'm talking about this colored diagram. The entire spectrum which is shown here, this is nothing but the entire spectrum. Okay, so along with the x-axis you can see there is a frequency axis f, you can see clearly. Okay, the entire spectrum is divided into smaller frequency band like k1, k2, and so on up to k6. Okay, so these frequency bands are called as the channels. So each band contains a certain fixed number of frequencies. Okay, that is a band of frequencies allocated to them. A user gets to access particular channel for a transmission for entire amount of time. Okay, so y axis here you can see the entire amount of time is allocated to individuals. Okay, a user gets to access particular channel for transmission for entire amount of time, and so all channels are occupying same time, that is the particular entire time that I have shown just now. So all channels are active in that particular time. So channels get a certain band of spectrum for whole time, and users can transmit or receive during that particular frequency channel or band. So now if we see the advantage of this type of multiplexing is that you don't require synchronization or coordination, because anyone can transmit at any time, though the whole time period is allocated. And since everyone is having different channel allocation given to them, it can be easily possible. So there will not be any time related interference with each other will happen here. So that is a very good advantage of this particular type of multiplexing. Another advantage is it is applicable to analog signals as well, like a sine wave. So since sine wave are frequency dependent, we know, or they have frequency associated with it, so different sine wave can be allocated different channels depending on their frequency. Now, the disadvantage is that there is a wastage of bandwidth in the case of traffic distributed unevenly, suppose. So, what I want to tell you, the meaning of this, I'll just let you know. If there are more users in a particular frequency band, suppose, and less user in another channel, then the bandwidth will get wasted directly. Okay, for example, let's say K1 has more number of users. Suppose K1 के पास 10 users है. Okay, and K6 is having only 3 users, suppose. Okay, so more number of users are sharing K1, that we know, compared to the less number of users sharing K6. So obviously the bandwidth or channel will be distributed for a very short number of frequency in K1, and K6, since there are very less number of users, every user will get large amount of bandwidth for transmission and reception. So that is the waste of bandwidth in the case of small number of users. Okay, so then the another disadvantage is inflexibility. Okay, means if there are no users in the particular frequency channel, let's say K5 पकड़ते हैं यहाँ पे, so no one is transmitting or receiving, suppose, in K5, so it gets completely wasted, that particular frequency band. So K1, K2, K3, K4 and K6 all will have certain number of users, but K5 doesn't have any user, and then the bandwidth of K5 will be wasted. Okay, so it should be located to someone else, but that is not possible in the case of frequency division multiplexing. So that is the another disadvantage of frequency division multiplexing. Okay, so that is what the frequency division multiplexing is. Okay, so then it comes to the time division multiplexing. Okay, so time division compared to the frequency division multiplexing, in the time division multiplexing the spectrum is not divided. Okay, where the time will be divided. Now if you just compare this with the previous diagram, you can see now the time is divided but the spectrum is kept whole. Okay, and that particular spectrum is limited for available for limited amount of time. So as you can see now, on the x-axis we have the frequency, and on y-axis we have the time. So now time is divided into smaller bands. Yes, the whole time is divided into smaller times. Okay, so these are called as a time slots, but entire frequency spectrum is available to the users. Okay, so because of this everyone will get chance, but at a different time. So this has the advantage of achieving the larger data rate compared to the frequency division, since we get the access to the entire frequency band, the whole frequency band bandwidth is available, so we can transmit more amount of data, although for the short time, but in the single goal you can transmit or receive a larger amount of data or large amount of data. Okay, so also it has another advantage that you don't have to have multiple frequencies available for the communication. Same frequency used by everyone, you can see, because the whole band is available, so by the entire group of people. So as frequencies are scarce in availability. So this is very good advantage. It is basically used in digital communication where signals have particular shape like a square wave, suppose. Okay, and it can be divided so precisely into the different times, and so that is one application area for the digital signals. Time division multiplexing is followed. The only drawback here or disadvantage we can say is the majorly affects the communication is a necessity or necessary to have the synchronization. So now when small amount of time is allocated to the user, which is communication, should discontinue after completion of that time period. So and communication period for the second user should start, so that for the second user, and that has to be precise. That is only a drawback of TDM or time division multiplexing, you can say. Okay, and then next is combination of both this, that is combining the effect of or advantages of both TDM and FDM, that is third modified technique, multiplexing technique, that is time and frequency division multiplexing. As the name suggests, you can see is the combination of both methods where the you can see the particular diagram. Okay, where a particular frequency channel or the band gets a certain amount of time, so users can transmit for a short amount of time for a short amount of bandwidth available. That is a mixture of both. So because of this, all user gets to transmit at every or at the different moments of a time for different parts of the available spectrum. So it combines the advantages of both TDM and FDM. This technique is primarily used in our GSM, mobile communication technology. So now advantage of using this, although it seems pretty complex, but as you can see, the suppose if I'm talking about suppose channel K4 लेते हैं, okay, so yellow color का जो भी है, so it is randomly located cubes in the entire diagram. You can see one is available here. Okay, sometimes it will get a chance as a second, sometimes it will get a chance as a here, that is second last, or sometime it will get a chance as a last or something like that. Okay, so it provides the protection against the tapping. Here tapping means basically uh, tapping is nothing but secretly listening to your communication. Okay, so since they are random in nature, you cannot predict when to listen to the particular conversation, so that is better protection against tapping. So not apart from that, it uh, so that is what the protection against tapping. Now apart from this, it provides the protection against frequency selective fading. So frequency selective fading means what? The attenuation in the particular frequency because of having same frequency as the noise. So now as the data transmitted will be at the different frequencies, then the frequency selective fading or will not be hamper entire conversation. So that is the another advantage, but the drawback or the little limitation to this particular technique is that precise coordination and complex transmission and the reception technique should be deployed for time and frequency division multiplexing to get successful, and that is what the mixture of time and frequency multiplexing. And finally we have code division multiplexing, that is a more robust multiplexing technique of all the techniques that we have seen just now. That is code division multiplexing, where users can transmit at all time using the same frequency, but still their signal will not interfere with each other. Okay, so this is because of the unique code of each user. Okay, here in the diagram you can see clearly that k1 k2 up to k6. Okay, there are the different codes. These are the codes provided for different users. Okay, suppose from k1 used for user 1, k2 used for user 2, like k6 is used for user 6, and so on. So because of this, all users can use the same spectrum entirely. So larger data rates are possible and they can transmit at the same time also. So again, it will improve the rate of transmission and reception because you will get to transmit for more amount of time. And now how they are separated or how they are avoiding the interference. So that is the question maybe arises in our mind. So this is because of use of unique code here. So each transmission signal will be encoded with the different code so that no two codes will be interfere or no two signals will be interfering with each other. Here the advantage of this particular techniques are this is very providing very highly bandwidth efficient in nature because every user you can say access the entire bandwidth, so larger data rates are possible. So that is the bandwidth efficiency we can say. Also you don't need to do a synchronization or coordination for reception. You don't have to bother about at what time or the receiver will going to receive the signal or at what time that suppose I'm doing that, so I'm going to receive the signal as an entire time period or frequency band will be available for reception, we know. Also since each user is using different code, the tapping is not easy in this particular case and it provides robustness against or we can say protection against tapping and interference also. But the drawback or limitation to this particular technique we can say is that the user data rates may vary. अब ये कैसे है that I tell you. Okay, as the entire bandwidth is available to all users depending on the several parameters, each user will get varying amount of bandwidth, okay, available for transmission and reception. Suppose for example, if user 1 is transmitting a video, so it will definitely going to occupy the more bandwidth, okay. And suppose user 2 who is transmitting a text, so we know text requested or text required a very small bandwidth. So here the two users will have the different bandwidth allocation. So video request larger bandwidth and text request very small bandwidth. So allocation of bandwidth will be different for different users. So it's not exactly the disadvantage we can say in the real world because we know the text does not require any large bandwidth. It is acceptable, but in certain cases it may be disadvantageous if the applications requirement is more bandwidth, and if the bandwidth is used by anyone else, then definitely the other one will get lesser bandwidth. Okay, then the second disadvantage will be use of different codes for different users, means that there is a complexity in signal generation as well as the reception. So we need to take care of that. We require different receivers for different users, different decoding techniques we require. So this type of multiplexing we can say is primarily basically used in the space spectrum technology, which is used in mobile communication, that we are going to see in the next lecture what is space spectrum and how the code division multiplexing is used in that